My name is Gianni Russo, a.k.a. Carlo, the infamous son-in-law from The Godfather. I'm now known as the Hollywood Godfather, and this is my story.
Before all of the wins in my portfolio, I was a little boy diagnosed with polio. Experimenting with cures, I tried every one. Felt everything in my right, but my left was numb. Walking with a limp, like will I ever run? Once again, or is this it? Am I forever done? Living in the hospital was never fun. Some people were cool, but not everyone.
Welcome, everybody. Today is a very important show to us and a very important day in our life. We are actually recording this show on 9/11. And I know we all remember where we were during 9/11, fortunately and unfortunately. You know, as I reflect on it, because I'm a lot older than most of us, when I was growing up, we were worried about Pearl Harbor, which was, December 7th, 1941. 9/11 came 60 years later. Pearl Harbor was the first time we were ever attacked by an enemy on our soil. And the Japanese destroyed Pearl Harbor. A lot of people died. Spinning forward 60 years, 9/11, we were attacked again, the Twin Towers. I wasn't in America. We'll get to where I was, but I think we have to really focus on the lives we lost. Because with that one episode, downtown New York, which I would have been close to if I was home, 2,994 people died that day.
Tell me that number. I'm sorry. Tell me that number again.
2,994 people died that day within those hours. Since then, from the residual of breathing in all that air in the last 20 years, thousands more have died. So it's not something that's going away. And I don't know if anybody's ever went to the memorial downtown. I mean, it's really breathtaking. It's worth the visit. And it's nice to go and just say a prayer.
Right.
We are so vulnerable and yet we're so strong. But with this, what's going on now, I'm worried about is all this what do they call those things? I'm not a modern guy. Drones.
Drones, yes, drones.
We're in drone warfare. There's not anybody on the plane. There's nobody anywhere. So there's no loss of. Send up 20 drones and attack an area. I mean, I don't even want to. I know whatever we're saying, some people have already discussed it 100 times. And I'm aware that our government now is really very into it. New York Police Department, we have a whole drone police force now.
Really?
We have a command center in drones. And it's interesting, the high tech with the sound bites that are in the streets of New York, if a gunshot goes off, it triggers where the drone should fly. And they're watching the people shooting as they run down the street.
That's incredible.
No, I mean, it's really weird. And that's something we definitely need.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny now because I know drones, my son got a drone and it's amazing what they can do and where they can go and how much you can pick up on one of those. So that is absolutely incredible, but it makes perfect sense. I mean, I would think that that's a perfect way of tracking somebody that normally they'd be driving all around.
Oh, yeah.
Having that head start plus those drones.
See, you living in Utah, you're allowed, like your son can have a drone. You can't put a drone in the air in New York City.
Really?
They'll shoot it down.
Wow. Well, let me tell you, my son bought me one. And like an idiot, my house is not big, but I was so excited to try it. So I turned it on and kind of, don't do this in your homes, anyone, but I turned it on And it went like a bat out of hell and hit a few walls and hit a window. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. So he came over and he said, Mom, have you already used it? And I said, well, not really. And he said, well, there's white paint all over it. Oh my God, did you do it in your house? And I said, well, yeah. No, so he put it up. I live right by an airport. So he put it up and it went up, 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 and then started going, and you could see, and it just went boom. And I never saw it again. And so I have about 28 seconds, I think, worth of drone footage. It went up in the air, and since I'm so close to the airport, they must have something over here.
Oh, yeah.
It went up, 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 and boom, gone, and
No,
long
that's what
gone.
well, I mean, your son should have known that. You can't fly that near an airport.
Well, it's a little airport, but still,
You don't care. It's still, it'll damage somebody taking off or coming down, you know.
yeah, well, I don't think it was that powerful, but it didn't make it long. I got, like I said, about 28 seconds worth of footage, and off it went. But that's,
Where were you during 9/11? Do you remember?
I remember when we turned the TV on, the first one had just wrecked, and we just sat there and
The
we're in.
first plane hit the building.
Yes.
Yeah, be more explicit because they don't know what we're talking about.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. And you could see, and we're watching the building catch on fire. And then all of a sudden we're watching the other one come, and I'm thinking, what are you doing? And then it hits the building, and it's just a state of shock.
Well, that's so ironic, because what you just said, I witnessed, and I was in Double Bay, Australia.
Oh, wow.
I was laying in bed at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel at the presidential suite. We were there already 10 days. And when I say we, I was with Bill Clinton.
There's a party.
Oh, no kidding. But the wildest thing is, I'm laying in bed in Australia, and it's like, early afternoon because we're ahead of you, but we were partied all night. And I'm laying in bed and watching frogmen come down on cables from helicopters onto our patio. And I'm saying, what's going on?
What did I do? Yeah.
No, so I get up, I go to the door, and somebody's blocking the door. I said, do you see what's going on? They said, yes, Mr. Russo, go back to bed. We're moving the president out of here. I said, what are you talking about? They said, do you have TV on? I said, no. They said, turn it on. I turned it on because it was on every network. And just like you, I watched the second plane hit, and I'm in Double Bay, Australia.
Yeah. And you're just thinking, stop. You're watching it, hoping it's gonna somehow miss it's just.
Well, I didn't even know what was going on. Like I'm sure most of us didn't when they were
No.
watching it.
Yeah, I know at the time.
This can't be happening.
Exactly.
So I saw that, and then I knocked on the door again, and they said, we're moving the president. So I had his Secret Service guy on my speed dial on my phone because we've been with him for 10 days already. I mean, we were out day and night. The guy who hosted us called Solomon. I mean, this guy was a philanthropist and amazing. He flew us over on his own jet. I don't know how much money he gave Bill Clinton. I know how much money he gave me. But he was buying gifts for Bill Clinton. We were on his yacht. We were partying. And next, and I learned something that I never realized. I said to Bobby, the top guy, I said, where are you going? He said, we have to airlift him to a closest air base. Do you know every living president has to be moved to an air base?
Oh, wow. No.
Well, there's a bunker in the White House. So if you're the president, sitting president, they take you to this bunker. But all the other presidents are not in bunkers. They're at their homes or wherever they're at.
Oh, wow.
But they're still worried about them being kidnapped and used for ransom because they don't know. So the procedure is to go get them. I think there was 7 of them alive yet.
That's amazing.
So I learned something that day. But now we were already there with Carl Solomon and, doing some business, having a lot of fun. and which we'll get into that article later. I just want to stay focused
Right.
on all the people we lost and how many people are still damaged
So
by this
suffering.
and
Oh, yeah.
losing their grandparents. And I mean, just the uniformed police in New York alone are still dying from lung cancer and the residual from all of that fumes and all of that dust that
Yeah,
had asbestos in it and everything else, which we all know now is dangerous.
sure.
So, I mean, that's the one thing I wanted to focus on because, like everything in my life that's negative, I turn it into a positive. But I mean, again, the good news even about that, I shared some of my rewards there, even with the 9/11 victims. I made a major donation, but nothing can replace a loved one or someone you knew. That whole thing doesn't get removed. And even to this day now, here we are, 9/11. It's 20 something years already since that
Amazing.
happened. And
Yeah.
they're the only two attacks ever in the history of the United States that were done on our own soil.
It was just surreal, to just sit back and think, holy cow, because you look at all the other wars and we watch it on TV and see the devastation in the streets and the bombs and the fighting and soldiers running around. And to think of that in our streets is just like something out of a movie,
Oh,
and,
no.
and to think of what those people lived through. I wondered that the other day when 9/11 was approaching. I wondered how close it was to you and where you were. And
Well, I would have been 60 blocks away from it.
60
Yeah.
6 oh,
'Cause
okay.
I'm
Okay.
on 61st Street. They were downtown where the Twin Towers was.
Right.
And not to say all the workers down there was no transportation. Everything was closed down. So I was told by my neighbors, they were walking the streets coming back. Most people work down on Wall Street. That's the business district. That's
Right.
where that happened. So there was thousands and thousands of
Yeah.
people down there that had no means, had to walk. I checked with my own family. I had nieces and nephews working down there also.
Oh, wow.
And I thank God I had a military phone because they closed down the lines.
Oh my God.
So I was able to check on some people. But I mean, when we get so relaxed in our lifestyle and take it for granted. And now with the new technology, and we're talking about you and I right now with drones. I mean, I'd hate to think of what could happen today, but that's why I'm so happy that our police department and the military are so on top of drone attacks
Yeah.
because it's the easiest way to attack anybody. And we're using it right now. We're using it in Afghanistan. It's crazy what's going on in his life. And it's almost, surreal is that we're into sci-fi rather. That's what looks reminds me
That
of.
you know what I thought of this. I was thinking of this when you and I were just as we were getting ready for the show, and I was thinking I remember watching like, oh, was it called Get Smart, or
Oh,
even
yeah.
Batman, or all the other crazy gadgets they've had. And I'm a gadget. I love them. I
Oh, I know,
absolutely love
Jenny.
them. I've always got, some funny little thing trying to make something work, and I've always loved that kind of stuff. I can half-ass use work most of them, but and I just thought it's incredible now that things that were in Batman movies as we were kids are available to all of us now, you
Well,
know?
how about Dick Tracy when he talked into his watch? Now
Right.
we all can do that. I can't,
Absolutely.
it's
Exactly.
crazy.
Or spy pens,
Yeah.
pens that are recording things. And yeah, it's amazing. And that's where kids growing up playing Nintendo and things like that, they get a bad rap for sitting around playing Nintendo, but now they're flying airplanes and things like that. And
No,
so it's
it's the
incredible how
future.
things have evolved, that's for sure.
But I thought before we get into my crazy world, And I just thought I hope nobody thinks it's too cynical, but I'm religious, you're religious. I just thought we'd take a minute of silence, and whoever you pray to, let's pray for all those people and their families and their suffering. And then we'll go on with the show that's more entertaining, unfortunately. But, it's with doom and gloom, you have to have happiness.
That's
I'm one that, if anybody read my book, they know the negatives, I turn to positives. But before we do that, if we can just take a minute and think of the families and their losses, I would like to do that. Okay?
absolutely beautiful idea.
God bless everybody. And anybody that had a loss, we feel for you, believe me.
That's exactly right. And what a great idea, Gianni. I thank you for that. So we've got just a minute. Let's do a quick little commercial break. Let's do it now. Let's maybe a minute or two early, but let's do that, and then we'll get back to talking about some.
Then we'll go to where I was on 9/11.
And we
We'll
can
be
rest
right back.
assured, that's right, Gianni Russo, usually having a good time.
We'll be right back. We know where you live. Don't go anywhere. We need you.
Mr. Russo is probably the most interesting man I've ever sat with in my life.
Unbelievable. Still unbelievable. I consider Gianni like Forrest Gump, right? The most interesting man on the planet.
He has achieved so much in his life, and he has proven that time reveals the victorious.
We're basically bringing Gianni Russo's life to rap music, if that makes any sense. I'm painting a picture of this guy's life through rap music the best way that I know how.
We're trying to encapsulate his life in segments, chapters if you want to call them that. And Gianni's story's crazy, but then Joel as an artist being able to articulate it, that's also crazy. Everything that you're hearing, this isn't a rapper that's making up something that he wished would have happened. These are things that have happened, that are documented, that you can check on, that you can Google. For you to hear about his life this way and to understand that these are facts and not fiction, you listen to it, you're gonna say, no one man could have lived this life. You have to say that. I've said that. I still say that.
For me, it's very special because it's something that was never done before.
I would just tell people that haven't heard it or about to hear it, if you could watch a movie about the world's most interesting person, would you watch it? This is that movie. You'd want to watch that.
Okay, we're back.
All righty. Let's hear it, Gianni.
As you know, and we hear it and I read it all the time, and I can understand people being skeptical about some of the things we talk about and how could this be? And the guy must be 200 years old to live the life he did. But even on 9/11, I had such great memories after the loss, because you have an article there that was written September 20th, 2001, which was, we were already there, meaning Bill Clinton and I. We were the guest of this call, Solomon. And the article I'm talking about, which you can't duplicate, it's an actual newspaper story from Australia. And you have it there also.
Right. It's called the Sunday Telegraph.
And what's the date on it?
Say that again?
What's the date on the newspaper?
The date. Let's see. September 30, 2001.
Right. Now that's, as you could all add up, is 19 days after 9/11.
Unbelievable. Well, and what a great article, and good for you, Gianni. I keep a lot of stuff that I think that no one's gonna ever go through my scrapbooks and make a podcast, but we're sure thrilled that you have it, because it sure turns into a lot of fun. So the title is An Offer Too Good to Refuse. And did you show the picture? And I'm sure Michael put it on there for us, but what a great
I'll
picture.
show you. This is the picture. And if you want a copy of it, make a request on our website. We'll send it to you. And again, as I realize that like this story now, it's going to be so far-fetched. And the follow-up on it, 6 years later, there's a big follow-up on the same story
Oh, wow.
that we'll get to with Howard Stern. And that article is in the Globe. So you can't even make this up because here we are, American history,
That's right.
and a part of it, but on a positive side. I never dwelled on negative. Lest
Right.
I probably would have never got out of Bellevue.
Oh, absolutely. All
So
right. So
would
I'm
you
going to go
read
ahead
some
and
of
read
this?
it. You
Yeah.
betcha. Seasoned American actor and film producer Gianni Russo left Sydney last Thursday an extremely happy man. Russo, who appeared in the first two Godfather movies as well as recently released Any Given Sunday with Al Pacino, had just reached an agreement with businessman Carl Solomon of Froggy.com and Pied Piper Plutograph.
Yep.
Is that what that is? Naughty Cellular to pump 80 million
Yep.
into another Godfather sequel. Godfather, Pope, and Presidents. Holy smoke. Godfathers, Popes, and Presidents. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Did you do that movie?
You keep reading the
Oh, okay,
article.
okay. As always, I'm jumping ahead. All right, now that I know I have the money in the bank, I'm heading back to the States for a meeting with the director, Martin Scorsese, Russo told me. There was no point talking to him until we knew we had the cash. We could begin shooting in Australia early next year. I'm also planning to bring some big name actors, including Al Pacino, Marlon Brando, and Madonna.
Mhm.
Attracting such cinematic
Hold
superstars.
on, thought a minute.
Okay.
Madonna agreed to play Marilyn Monroe,
Oh, you're kidding.
which I thought could have been
Oh
amazing.
my gosh.
Yeah.
And she would definitely just be incredible at that part because that seems a perfect fit.
Yeah.
So it says attracting such cinematic superstars wouldn't be a problem, Russo explained, because thanks to Carl and Nati, am I getting the name right?
Yep.
He's able to offer big bucks for just a few days' work. Who wouldn't want to appear under those circumstances? I wish somebody wanted me for a couple of dollars. The super confident Gianni Russo explained he's dead keen to win a couple of Oscars because this is Stoller and Solomon's first foray into film financing, and he wants to whet their appetites. While in Sydney, Russo was able to live it up for 2 weeks at the suites at the Sanford Plaza Hotel in Double Bay, a treat for which Solomon picked up the tab. Not surprisingly, the dot-com millionaire's deep pockets are a source of fascination for many in the business community. The big question being, where does he get it? Iraq-born Solomon, who is known by more Arab-sounding Solomon, has had a big spending year by almost any standards. So far, it's included sponsoring Bill Clinton's visit to Australia, as well as coughing up on the spot for expensive presents for the former prez. He has also been one of the biggest donors to various charities during the year. And that's all I got on mine. I'm requesting a copy of that article.
Oh no, I'll send it to you definitely. But what's interesting is that I got on the plane, and I didn't come back to America yet because America was still in such disarray. So I transferred that money to the Vatican Bank because I was already doing things with the Vatican Bank,
Right.
and I didn't want them to change their mind in the next couple of weeks. So that
Yeah.
was all done. And here I'm off. And as you pointed out, I wrote that script, Godfathers, Popes, and Presidents, because by that time, I already knew 3 popes. My 4th pope would be John Paul II, who became a saint now, so many presidents and godfathers, every mob guy in the world.
Right.
And the script was amazing. And I'm coming back with all the glory in the world. And the fact that Natty and Call was from Iraq, I should have gotten the hint.
Oh, yeah.
In the next 90 days, they were arrested.
Oh my gosh.
And I had to
You
return.
were stuck with 80 million? Oh, you
Yeah,
had to return it?
I had to return. No, I wish I could have. No, I had to return most of it. I kept a few dollars for my expenses.
That's right.
But they were
Okay.
happy to get it. That I said, no, you don't have to sue me. You don't have to do anything. I'll have to rearrange, things to get it to you. And we did. And that was the end of that project. But to me, it was like to have the opportunity. And that's, all these things that I've done in my life. Like if we didn't have this ad, I mean, the ad, it's a
Oh,
newspaper story.
right.
Everybody goes, oh, this guy's, smoking funny cigarettes or something. And I understand that. I see it on the street, and I don't blame them, because when you start looking at my life, it's crazy.
Right.
Because
Right.
I want to spin forward now, it gets even more bizarre. 6 years later, I'm on the Howard Stern show. And he's always playing games with me and all this. And I've been on that show so many times. And he said to me, my guys did some research. And during 9/11, you were with Bill Clinton in Double Bay, Australia? I said, yeah. He says, how was that experience? And I went on to say it all. What do I care, So I'm saying, we partied every night, and this guy had a yacht, and we'd walk into casinos. The guy would give us $50,000 to play. I mean, that's the kind of weekend we're having. He bought him suits. He bought him watches. And I kept saying, this guy should have a red suit and a white beard. I mean, this is Christmas in July. Forget about this. And
wild.
I mean, party. So Howard Stern said to me, he said, well, you've been around so many people like Sinatra and Dean Martin and all of that. He said, how would you rank Bill Clinton amongst these guys? I said, I have never been around a man until this day, many years later, we're talking now, who had more charisma. Nobody realized his stature. This guy was like 6 foot. I mean, he'd walk into a room. I don't know, the magnetism he had. Women would leave their husband and come and join our table. I mean, it's like craziness.
That's wild.
So when they were ready to leave, and this was all in the article that's also available. It's a Globe article about Howard Stern. You could Google it actually too if you want.
Oh,
Howard Stern show, and you'll get the article in the Globe. And it said Hollywood Godfather spills the beans on Bill Clinton. Now, I didn't know what was going on with him and Hillary. So I do this show. We talk about everything, because Bobby, his top guy, would say to me, Johnny, the chief likes the lady in the red dress, the lady in the blue dress, da-da-da-da, and give me a list. We're going to take him out of here. We'll secure him in the suite, and we'll send the car back for the ladies and you. This is what was going on every night. So even Howard Stern says to me, do you think, he made love to them? I said, well, let me say this to you. I'm on one end of the presidential suite. He's on the other end with the security. Now, I would assume if 2 ladies, 3 ladies, 4 ladies goes into his bedroom with him, they're not in there knitting.
No.
So for verbatim, they put this all in the Globe article.
Uh-oh.
But we're still live on Howard Stern. I'm talking live on the radio. I get out of the car, out of the place, and it was, I think it was, at that time, it was still Fox before he went to Sirius. And I get in the limousine, and the phone rings. It's not my limousine. It's the studio's limousine. And the driver opens the window. He said, Mr. Russo, the call's for you.
Uh-oh.
I said, for me? I get the phone, and it's Hillary Clinton's office.
Uh-oh.
And they said, this is Miss Clinton's office. I said, yes. She, we just heard you on Howard Stern. I said, and? See, Hillary and Bill have a pact never to talk about women and his escapades. Because that's when he was just getting over Monica Lewinsky and all of that.
You're like, well, no one made a pact with me.
That's exactly what I said. I said, never said nothing to me. And I gave the guy the phone. I said, hang up. The phone rings again.
Oh, no.
And I get the phone. She said, did you just hang up on me? I said, yes. Well, I'm the first aide to Miss Clinton, and Mrs. Clinton. She's sitting here. I said, great. You better be careful if she becomes president. I said, let me stop you right there. If she becomes president, I'm leaving the country. But I mean, this is so bizarre when you think of these things. It's insanity. So Bill, I stayed friends with Bill Clinton for years, years. And one day he says to me, I really want to stay in touch with you because, he came where I had to go and I would tell him and people would show up and we always had fun. So he said to me, you want to be, this is going to kill you and the audience. He said, I really want you to be a close friend of mine. I said, I don't want to be a close friend. He says, why? And I think at that time, already 20 something of his friends committed suicide. Now the number's up to 50. Now the number's up to 54. I don't know anybody who have friends that kill themselves. I mean, maybe one or two, but not 54.
Not every one of them. Yeah, no wonder you don't want to be his friend. You're like, thanks anyway.
Oh, no. But you can't make this stuff up.
Oh.
And I'm saying publicly, if anybody wants this article, just go online to johnnyrusso.com. We'll send it to you. You have to take care of the postage and all that. But I'll print them up because it's getting so far-fetched. People stop me on the street. They say, come on, you really did all these things? I said, did you read my book? They said, yeah. I said, guess what? I got another book coming out called Mafia Secrets. They can't wait to buy it, which I'm happy about.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it or see it. Or is it going to be, did you tell me, is it going to be an audio book or just a paper?
Oh, I'm doing the audio book. No. I do.
Oh, both. You are? Oh, I love that.
Oh, no, I love audiobooks. I was just happy to announce, in fact, Michael Benson, who was my co-author on Mafia Secrets, we're doing Celebrities and Gangsters is our next book. I'm on a roll and I'm a little illiterate. It's so, I have, thank God for spell check. Nobody will ever get a text message from me.
Right. Oh no, I have spell check on everything and I'm a decent speller, but I'm a fast typer and I'll make a few errors, but yeah, that spell check saves the day, that's for sure.
No, that's totally insane.
Well, do you know when the newest book's going to be out? Do you have a time frame?
They just gave me they're releasing it on my birthday, 2025.
Nice.
Which is, to me, is a blessing and nice Christmas gifts. It'll be available earlier on September, October, but that's the major release date. The bookstores and all that, they'll do advance releases and advance orders. But, I'm just having fun with it. And again, I apologize for the people who've lost loved ones during 9/11, but I can't, this is my life. It's so crazy.
Yes, it is.
We could name tragic days and I did something good on them.
Right.
And fortunately, I was able to turn a lot of things around. Anybody that knows me, I've been kidnapped, I've been shot, but I turned them into positives. And I think that's what part of my success is, and still continued success. And believing in God, that's the
right. It's funny you say that because I've got a podcast in my ear all the time. If I'm out mowing the lawn or whatever it is I'm doing, I've got something in my ear, which is how I met you guys to begin with, because I had.
Thank God for that.
Well, I love it.
And our audience is thanking you. You get a lot of positive emails. I love it.
I did see a comment that said, "I'm not sure how Jeannie got on here or what her role is." And so just as a reminder, I'm a big fan of the show. And the way I started out on the show is by asking these guys questions. I'd listen to a podcast and I would be like, "I'll bet Gianni knows the answer to this or that." And my one question was about Frank Sinatra's son being kidnapped. That was my first question that you guys actually answered because I thought, I'm gonna
Well,
ask
that
somebody
that was
I
something that embarrassed Frank for our audience who never heard about it.
have.
He
Right.
arranged for his own kidnapping because he wasn't doing well in the showrooms, and his father wanted to kill him himself. And it was a big fiasco, and Frank got some people involved thinking he was really kidnapped, and he
I can't
wasn't.
imagine.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Well, anyway, back to the podcast. I was listening to one where a guy said he was at that Route Harvest uh, concert in Las Vegas when the shooting from Mandalay Bay. And the weird thing is, Gianni, the year before, I took my daughter and my sister, and we went. And the whole time we were there, I kept telling my darling daughter, blonde hair, green eyed, gorgeous daughter, I kept saying, "You need to stick around. If something happens, I wouldn't be able to find you." And she just said, "Same, you got to quit listening to watching so much, Dateline and those shows because you're paranoid." And so then the next year when that shooting happened, um, people were calling me thinking I was there, and such a tragic thing. And we had met people that were there. My friend's daughter was there, and this guy on
Wow.
this podcast I heard said, I laid there thinking I was going to die. And I think he said he either called his wife or I'm not sure who he said he called. And he said, I called them and said, you know,
And goodbye.
yeah,
You'll be
but
dying.
he did live, and he said, I lived through that, and there's a reason I'm here, and I'm going to make a positive thing out of this. And he's, got a campaign of some sort that he's trying to make the world a better place and working very hard to make things better out of the tragedy that he suffered,
Yeah, I
and
mean, and that to me is a great lesson early on, even for me. You can't just dwell on it.
right.
I fortunately and unfortunately had an experience where I was with 20 kids for many years, and a lot of them gave up on themselves. They starved themselves to death. They wouldn't eat. And the city wouldn't even tell anybody because it was so depressing. We're in the polio ward we were in, there's no televisions. There was nothing.
Mm,
You just stood at the ceiling, and they weren't putting any time or education into you because they thought you weren't going to live.
make it.
So, I mean,
It's
it's
incredible.
it's those tragedies that you learn how to better yourself, which I did, fortunately. And again, on a day like 9/11 today, it's great to remember the people who sacrifice, the people who
Absolutely.
are in uniform. I mean, what's going on now? And I was with a bunch of police because I do a charity every year for Joe Lamb, who not only was a decorated police officer, he went to Vietnam and got decorated
Oh, wow.
and came back here and got killed.
Oh, geez.
And every 9/11, his wife, Christina, has an event which I go to. And again, this year, I contributed $8,000 in charity to her charity for scholarships. And I'll continue forever. And she said to me, it's so nice, people say they'll come and they don't. And you keep coming. I said, I'll keep coming as long as you have it. Because that's what you contribute back. And I don't want any glory. I don't take any. I go to this event, but it's all police.
Wow.
I mean, all police. They send a squad car to pick me up at my house, to take me up to Westchester at Trump National Golf Course. That was just, they do it on a Monday. So this year had to be on the 9th because the 11th is a Wednesday as we're doing our show. But even those things, if you dwell on it, and here's a lady who lost her husband, and the son and daughter were there every year also. I watched them grow up, mourning their father. but they're making a positive out of it.
Right. And
And I
it,
think,
that is so nice to see, because it is the devastation, and to rise from that. And you know, we need to take a break, but I'll just quickly tell you, I work for the Department of Veteran Affairs, and I've said before, you know, we've gone around the room and they'll say, you know, how many in the room are veterans, or why is it you like to work here? And you sit amongst a table full of veterans, and I told them, I said, you know, I'm not a veteran. I didn't serve my country in that way, but I do my best every day to serve the people who did, you know, and to take care of the veterans. And I love that I can do that. And I'm so proud of my job, and so thankful, for the people who fought for our country and still do, you know, and
oh, yeah.
all the different people that had to um, deal with that, and like you said, still do and will forever. You know, it's those type of people that are sacrificing and are still getting up and moving on and making great things for their communities and stuff like that, in the memory of their families. So I think it's fantastic.
No, I mean, I know what you do. I heard from other people, and it's commendable.
Oh,
All right.
I'm proud to do it. I am thankful for it all the time. You know, happy to help people that not only help me, but help everybody, just like you with the policemen in your community, and being able to help them in a way, because it seems so little compared to what sacrifices
Oh
they've
my
made,
God, yeah. No,
and the
definitely.
families of their losses. So yeah, it's
All right,
my
let's
heart
do
goes
another
out.
commercial break, and
Absolutely.
we'll come back and wrap it up.
All right.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We love having you with us.
Yes,
Believe me, we do. Hi, everybody. It's Johnny Russo, Hollywood Godfather. As you know, and the rumor has been spreading, I have a lot to do with Corleone Fine Italian Foods. If you go to Corleone Fine Italian Foods online, you could purchase Genco olive oil. You could purchase Clemenza's meat sauce. There's so many products, and we're expanding it day by day. Go on the website, place an order. It's direct to consumer. Enjoy and try to create dinners. Now nobody has to spend 4 or 5 hours over a stove. Buy our stuff. You'll think your grandmother made it, and maybe have a dinner once a month or every other Sunday. Let's try to bring the family back to the table. That's what's missing in our society. God bless you. Okay, we're back. So with that said, the show was a little long tonight, but for a good reason. Thank you for the cards, the letters, the suggestions. We pay attention to it. You know that now. I mean, I can't believe we're in our 15th series,
that's wild.
and we have 200, almost 300 hours of radio. And it's from all over the world now. I'm getting calls, as you know, we're getting letters from London, everywhere. So thank you all for that. And keep it up, because Jeannie and I love doing this.
Absolutely. And just as a reminder, please share it with your friends. Leave us a review if you like that. If you have a minute, get on and just tell us what you did, where you were, what city you were in when 9/11 happened. I was in Ogden, Utah, and it just, you know, tell us a quick little something, and leave us a review. Share it with your friends. We're on all of the mediums. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. We'd love to hear from you. If you've got a show idea, I always say it doesn't matter what comes up. You talk to Gianni, and he either knows someone, or it's amazing the things that come up. And I love hearing these stories. So please
It's
give us.
only because I'm 82 years old. I've been around too long.
Well, you know, Gianni, you're still around. You still got your, you know, how thankful you've got your wits about you. You're healthy, and it was those few years of rest that you were laying in that bed. You were
Yeah.
soaking up that time. You were
It's
using
the
it up.
guy upstairs. He takes care of me, man.
Absolutely,
The man
absolutely.
upstairs.
And we're thankful, because I love hearing your stories, and I know our our guests do too. So,
All right. Well, thank you. Till next week, everybody, please. We
all right.
want to see, we want to read those letters.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you, my love.
Bye-bye.
And that was that. But I'll be back.
No regrets, no complaints. Lived a life with no restraints. The little kid they all counted out proved them all wrong, that's without a doubt. Laying there with my left side numb, 5-year bout with polio, but yes, I won. From standing on corners like how many pens you want to living in a bakery, then opening my own restaurant. Of course, I had some help along the way. Friends like Frank Costello that I miss each and every day. Things from many years ago still resonate.